Hey, my Claude Code can now automatically farm context from my Slack channels and meeting transcripts. And it even updates my Obsidian second brain so I have full visibility over everything going on at my organization. And it happens all before I log in the morning. I can even get a full briefing on deals, decisions, and meetings I was never even in. Every task is extracted, every project updated, and every new contact filed, all without touching anything. And these farming agents run natively in Claude Code, in the cloud and on a bulletproof schedule. Even if my laptop is off, it doesn't matter. My vault has the full context of what's going on and across my organization before I've even opened Slack in the morning. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I built this, how you can set this tool up for yourself, and I'm giving everything away for free at the link in the description. Just clone the GitHub repo and go. Here's how it works. You pick any tool where your company context is shared. Think Slack, Notion, or Fireflies, and set up a context farming agent for it. That agent will automatically pull context from that tool into your second brain. You'll get projects, people, and tasks created as linked markdown files, tracked in GitHub, and that you can read and edit directly in Obsidian. And because all this information lands in one vault, the context compounds over time. Your Claude Code can see what happened across Slack and meetings, and it creates one unified context layer for your entire organization. The best part is that this works with any software that has an MCP, and to make sure that it works for your stack, I'm including a Claude skill that lets you generate context farmers on demand. Later in this video, I'll show you how this system fully briefs me for a customer call, pulling info from across Slack and Fireflies so I know exactly what's going on with them before I even walk into the room. And it all happens without me being on a single call beforehand or searching through mountains of Slack channels. And like always, the whole GitHub repo is free, linked in the description below. If you don't know me, my name's Brad. I'm a go-to-market engineer, and I've been building with AI for 5 years now. Now I help businesses build AI systems exactly like this one. And if that's you, links are in the description. Before I show you this working on a real deal, I want to explain where the whole concept of context farming fits in, because it's the piece that makes second brains, like the one I built a few weeks ago, actually useful for running a business. So here's the general problem. You can set up a second brain like the one I did in my last video, and it will be super powerful. You can brain dump anything into it, classify and plan your day, delegate tasks to AI employees, but it only knows what you tell it. And in any real business, the important context doesn't live in your head, it lives in Slack channels you're not reading, and in meeting transcripts from calls that you weren't on. The bigger your company gets, the more context slips through the cracks. I was recently talking to a COO who's running a company across Slack, Jira, and Google Docs. And he said to me that things are just getting lost between the stakeholders. And that's not just a problem for him, that's a problem for a lot of companies. It's not a lack of tools, it's a lack of connected context. So the solution is context farming. Dedicated agents that go out into your business tools, find what matters, and bring it back into the second brain. So here's the architecture that makes that happen. You have your business tools connected via MCP into context farmers. These farmers are going out and running every single day to find new information and bring them back into the second brain. That second brain then classifies the information into tasks, projects, people, and ideas. And then from there, you have a context layer sitting above all of your knowledge that you can query on demand, or that you can write the /today command for and get your daily briefing. You can even schedule that today briefing so you have it automatically on your machine. These farmers are running as scheduled tasks. So there's cloud scheduled tasks or desktop scheduled tasks or loop scheduled tasks. I'm going to recommend cloud schedulers because that way it doesn't matter if you close your laptop, these farmers will always run. The cloud farmers and Obsidian and Claude Code all feed into this one GitHub repo, and they're pushing and pulling from GitHub to make sure that all the information is always up to date. Cloud farmers are bringing in information from outside sources. Obsidian lets you manually edit those tasks, and Claude Code allows you to automatically jot down notes really quickly. Everything is converging through this GitHub repo, and it's the underpinning context layer that everything drives from. Let me show you exactly how powerful context farming is in a real situation. So let's imagine that I have a customer renewal coming up for Meridian, and I haven't been involved in any of it. My team has been working on it all week. They've had their heads down in Slack channels and having meetings about it, but I haven't had time to read it, and I'm probably not going to. So I've got a customer call coming up with Meridian soon, and I need to get abreast of exactly what's happening with it right now because it's in 15 minutes. So let's have a crack and see what we can do with context farming. So I have my second brain open to my left-hand side here, and I want to kick off some context farming. So I already have my farmers scheduled. So I'm going to go into the scheduled task in Claude Code and go run now. That's launched a sub-agent inside of Claude Code, and that sub-agent has started to hit the Slack API through MCP. And it's filtering through all the messages in the last 24 hours and surfacing the important stuff that we can feed back into our second brain. I'll give you a look inside of my demo Slack that I've set up. I have a few different channels for sales, a CRM migration, and customer support. And I've been talking to myself in here a little bit just to fill it with some test data. There's a bunch of noise in here, and each of these channels has a little bit of key information about Meridian that the second brain and these context farmers will find and weave into one narrative. So here's what landed once it finished. It caught that we have a CRM migration going on, that there's a sprint, we're at sprint 14. It's picked up that we have our Meridian renewal and that it's at risk, so worth 280K. Picked up some conversations around our Q2 pipeline, the bulk import fix, and a contact called Lisa Chen from Meridian. So that's what the farmer has done. And then when I actually open up Obsidian, I can see that they're all here as well. So I can see that, the CRM migrations here, what's going on with the Meridian renewal. You know, that's 280K ARR, it's due May 9th, and the account is at risk due to some ongoing CRM bulk import issues that have frustrated the customer. It says that our key contact is Lisa Chen, and the next action is to walk her through on April 7th. So we have only a couple of stakeholders at the moment, Lisa Chen, who's the VP of Ops at Meridian, and then David Park, who's the COO. So no single Slack channel tells this story. Claude has gone through and read all three of them, found the bits that connect to Meridian, and presented us with a unified knowledge source on what the Meridian renewal is doing at the moment. But that's only one part of the context farming workflow that we have set up already. We haven't even looked at our Fireflies meeting transcripts for the last week. And I know for a fact that we had a sales meeting and a support team meeting where Meridian was mentioned. So what I'm going to do now is run the next farmer, and we'll see how that additional layer of context layers into the Meridian renewal. And then from there, we'll be able to find some insights so I can walk into this meeting fully prepared. To do that, I'm going to go back to the scheduler inside of Claude Cloud and run the Fireflies farmer. I'm just going to hit run now and do the exact same thing. So the Slack farmer gave me some information about the renewal. We know it's at risk. We know it's worth 280K. We know there's an issue with the CRM migration going on, and we know that engineering is working on a fix because they mentioned it in the support channel. But let's see what other information we can get from the transcripts. So I'm running the Fireflies farmer now, and then what it's doing is hitting the Fireflies API through MCP. It's going and reading all of my shared meeting transcripts. So not just mine, it can read any transcript that you have access to in your account. And then from there, pulling in all of the relevant information and not creating new copies of things, but updating our existing second brain. So we have a full picture of context from everything that's been happening in my organization all week long. Now, it's important to remember that you won't have to run these farmers manually. They're scheduled. So this is going to happen every single morning without you touching anything. The only reason I'm running them manually now is just for the demo. So some of the key pieces of information that are inside of Fireflies is that it's not just Lisa Chen that's important to this renewal. There's a new stakeholder on the Meridian side. They've just recently hired Marcus Webb, new revenue operations director, and he's been putting in a bunch of different support tickets over the last couple of weeks, and he's actually going to be included inside of that meeting that we have coming up that I'm walking into. Now, we didn't know that just by looking at Slack, because this happened in an impromptu conversation as part of the sales team meeting, just a small part of what was otherwise a really extensive and long meeting that covered a lot of the Q2 pipeline that's coming up. So we can see here that the Fireflies farmer has just recently finished, and we have a few more commits that have rolled in. So we have the Meridian call with Lisa Chen has been updated. It's updated the CRM migration project, and it's added a new person, Marcus Webb, into our second brain. So Claude has taken that sales meeting review and then paired it with the other meetings that we have inside of our Fireflies instance. So we have the support weekly team review and the CRM project review. And all of these have different pieces of information that if we weren't looking at all of them, we wouldn't be able to have a complete view of the renewal. So inside of the support transcript, we can tell that Meridian has had a bunch of tickets over the last couple of weeks around their bulk import issue, and that the person that's raising these tickets isn't Lisa, it's Marcus, and that he's been putting together what we could probably infer as a bit of a technical case against all of the failings of our product. It's something that I want to know if I'm walking into a meeting with Meridian. Added to that, we have the CRM migration project daily stand-up, which they've mentioned that they're working on a fix for Meridian and that it should be out soon. So all of this information is things that I need to know. So if I take a look at the vault, I can see that all of those files are being pulled in now to my local Obsidian thanks to that GitHub community plugin. I can see that the CRM migration's been updated and my Meridian renewal now has a bunch more extra information. So we have this new Marcus Webb person, and we have all of the context that we've gathered from that sales call. Then we also have in our tasks view a bunch of different tasks, but what I'm going to zero in on is this Meridian call with Lisa Chen. And it also mentions in here now that we have Marcus Webb is now running an independent operational evaluation for the COO. But let's be honest, I don't want to go through and sift through my second brain to find all this information when I'm just about to walk into a meeting. I want Claude to surface it for me. So let me show you how that works. I'm about to walk into this renewal meeting with Meridian. What do I need to know about the state of the account and what's going on with them? Are there any fires that I should know about? Cool. And now Claude has the complete context of this unified knowledge layer that we've been building through our context farming. And it's going to be able to answer for me exactly what's going on with this customer in a few seconds. And all of this context is coming from meetings and messages that I haven't read and wasn't included on. It's extremely powerful. You can see that there's a 280K renewal at risk and that is my largest healthcare customer. It's also identified that there's a hidden threat. It's Marcus Webb, the head of RevOps, hired about 6 weeks ago. He's ex-Salesforce and has been quietly running an independent vendor evaluation. I've got the full timeline here. I've got a summary of all of the risks that are on this account at the moment and everything across the entire organization. That's sales, support, and engineering. That is all happening around this one customer, Meridian. So when I walk into this meeting, I'm going to be fully informed. So you can see there the power of context layering with these different context farmers. If you're able to pull information from Slack, transcripts, plus Jira, support, all of these different platforms, you can layer them together and get a full picture of exactly what's happening with any given project, customer, account, anything. And you can get it without being included on any of these meetings or reading any messages or skimming through meeting transcripts. Quick thing, this exact repo I'm showing you is free and it's linked in the description below. So all you have to do is go and clone it and go. But if you're watching this and thinking, how the hell am I going to implement this type of system across my entire organization? Then that's something I can help you with. I do AI strategy sessions where I'll map this to your specific tool stack and show you how to build it. Link to the sessions is in the description below. All right, let's keep going. So you've seen how context farming works with Slack and Fireflies, and these are the ones that I've built for you. But if you're not using these tools or you're using other tools that you want to integrate inside of your and build context farmers for, then I've got you covered there as well. Inside of the repo, again, linked in the description below, you will find a Claude skill for creating farmers. And this skill covers everything. All you need to do is tell it what tool you want to context farm from, and it handles everything else. It goes and finds the MCP tool, connects it for you, and then tells you exactly what you need to do to get it scheduled inside of your account. I'm going to show you exactly how easy this is by setting one up for Notion right now. The only prerequisite here is that you need to have an MCP connector available for that tool, and preferably a remote hosted connector. I'm going to create a Notion context farmer, and I want to keep track of all of the release notes that are coming out from engineering that get published to Notion every single week. So let's go. It's super easy. You just call the create farmer skill and it goes and handles it all for you. The first thing it's going to go do is research the Notion connector, which there is one available for, and then it's going to tell me exactly how I need to connect it, and then from there go and build the sub agent inside of the Claude directory for agents. We'll see a Notion farmer come up, and then from there schedule it inside of my account. So this works on demand. Once I've got that Notion MCP connected, it comes up here in my Claude web connectors, and now that's available to Claude Code. So I'm going to go back in there and get it to continue. So for it to pick up Notion, you're going to want to close out of your terminal and then reopen a new instance of Claude Code, so then Claude can see all of the new MCPs that you've connected. Because I'm in a new session, I've had to reiterate that I wanted to search for engineering release notes. And then from there, it's going to test my Notion connector to make sure it's all working and then build out Notion Farmer. Now, this context farmer creator skill has handled everything for me. It's built the sub agent inside of the agents directory here. I can see it right here. It has all of the instructions that we need based on the other two agents. And it's even offering to schedule it. It's gone through and updated our watch list with information about the engineering docs that I wanted to keep a track of. And it's updated my settings.json to make sure that the sub agents don't run into any permissions issues. So I'm going to ask to schedule it now. Schedule for 7 a.m. daily. It's just confirming what I want the scheduler to look like. And I'm just going to say yes. And it's that easy. It's giving me the link to open it. But if I go into my Claude desktop and go to my schedule tab, I can now see that I have my Notion farmer ready to go. And with the instructions, farm Notion. It's going to run tomorrow at 7 a.m. and it has the Notion connector already added in. That's the pattern. It's so easy. If you have a tool that has an MCP connector, you can context farm from it. And with this repo and the skills that I've built for you, you're able to build it so easily. All you have to do is type /create farmer and the tool you want to use, and Claude will handle the rest. I want to pause for a second because what I showed you today was just 2 context farming agents and a Claude skill that lets you set these up on demand. That alone was enough for me to walk into a custom meeting fully briefed without reading a single Slack message or watching a recording. But think about where this goes to. Every tool in your business can be a potential source of context. Confluence pages, Jira tickets, Zendesk, HubSpot, calendars, emails, whatever. Each one of these could be another farming agent running on a schedule, writing context into one unified knowledge layer that every AI agent in your business can read from. Your context gets deeper and your agents are getting smarter. And it's because the system has started to feed itself. This is what context engineering looks like in practice. It's not one person manually stuffing information into prompts. It's a system of agents that keep context alive, current, and connected. So if you want to get started with your new context farming second brain, then here's exactly how. You want to head over to the link at the description below, which will take you to this GitHub repository. Once you're there, go to the use this template button on the right-hand side and press create a new repository. This will copy my template into your GitHub account. And from there, you'll be able to set it as private, which is super important, and set a name. So I'm going to set it as Second Brain Demo. As I said, it's really important that you set the visibility as private, because if you keep it as public, your notes will be pushed to a public repository, which anyone on the internet can access. So just make sure you set that as private. Don't worry, the Second Brain setup will confirm when you initialize it that it is a private repo. So we should have you covered there. But just to be sure, set it as private. Go create repository. Cool. Now I have a copy of the Second Brain in my own account and it's private. So I can clone this repository onto my local machine. And then from there, I will be able to go ahead and continue with the rest of the configuration. So I want to go to this green code button on the right-hand side and go open with GitHub Desktop if I have GitHub Desktop installed. If you're comfortable in the terminal, you can always just copy this and do it that way, or ask Claude to clone the repository for you. So I'm going to go open with GitHub Desktop. That'll open GitHub Desktop on your machine. I'm getting this error because I've already cloned this before, but you'll just hit clone again or clone for the first time. Now that that's done, you have a local copy of the Second Brain on your machine so we can get into the config. If you have an IDE like VS Code or Anti-Gravity, then you'll want to open that folder in your IDE next. Now I'm going to create a new terminal once I have the repo opened in my IDE. In VS Code, you go new terminal at the top here. You can always do that inside the VS Code extension for Claude Code, but I honestly just really prefer the terminal experience to the extension. So I'm going to open it there now. So the first thing that you will do once you have it cloned on your machine and we've done all that stuff is to type /start second brain. That will kick off the onboarding command or skill that I've created inside of this repo, and that will get you set up with everything. It's going to run this init vault script, which is what checks that you have a private repo and creates all of our folders on the left-hand side. So now we have our daily, ideas, output, people, projects, tasks, and weekly. If you want a more detailed video about the setup for the Second Brain, link in the description, link above. So it will ask us now to install the Obsidian Git community plugin in Obsidian and then configure these settings. So you want to open Obsidian on your machine and it'll take you to this page here. If you already have a vault open, it'll open there. But what you'll need to do is open a new vault. So go File, and then Open Vault. From this page, you want to go Open Folder as Vault, and then press Open. I've already got it open here, but you'll need to navigate to the Second Brain folder that you have on your machine and press Open again. Now I have my new Obsidian Second Brain on my machine and the vault has been initialized. So the next thing I need to do is go to the settings down here and just go to Community Plugins and Browse. Now I can install the Git plugin, press Install, and then enable, and then options. You'll need to go through the settings here and set all the values that I have prepared for you in Claude Code. You can just copy these straight across. They should match up correctly. The GitHub plugin is what's going to keep our local changes to any notes that we create within our Obsidian Vault synced with GitHub and then with Claude Code. So the farmers will be feeding in from the cloud, we'll be making edits locally here, and then we might also be making edits directly from the repo, which is how I like to use my second brain. The next question it's asking us is for context onboarding. So this is really important as it helps the second brain feel more personal and work a hell of a lot better. So you can dump as much context into Claude Code here at the moment. I like to speak to it. So if you hold down space on Claude Code now, you can do voice chat. So my name's Brad. I'm a go-to-market engineer. I want to keep a track of Slack channels, like the sales team Slack channel, the support team Slack channel, and the CRM migration Slack channel. I also have Fireflies, and there are some weekly team meetings in there that I want to keep a track of as well. So the sales weekly team meeting, the support weekly team meeting, and then the CRM daily stand-up. And then I can let go of space and press enter, and then Claude will go and automatically fill in my context files here and make sure my watch lists are up to date. Once Claude's done that, you can go through and check the watch lists yourself and make any additional changes. And if later down the track you want to add more channels for Slack or more meeting cadences for Fireflies, you can do that directly here in the watchlist.md file. You can also change the keyword signals that Claude will read as tasks or messages or pieces of context that it should prioritize to write back into the second vault. It will fill it in with some defaults like by EOD, deadlines, blocker signals, things like that that might mean that this context is important. But this is totally customizable, and feel free to go in here and make any changes that you want. The start here command also functions as a bit of a help command. So if you ever get stuck with the second brain or want to know exactly how one of these commands here works, then you can just ask start here and give you a detailed, it'll explain it to you. The next thing it's asking us to set up is our context farmers, and I want to make sure that I have my Slack and my Fireflies context farmer set up. So I'm going to do that now. So that'll kick off an initial context farming run locally, but I'm going to skip that now. I want to go and schedule my farmers. So I'm going to go /schedule. And then that will kick off Claude to schedule both of these context farmers inside of my Claude account. I'm going to schedule both of these farmers for in the morning before I log into work. There's one thing you need to keep in mind though. You can't schedule these farmers at the exact same time because when they're bringing in information, they can create merge conflicts. It's a good idea to schedule at least 30 minutes in between each farmer's run. So I'm going to set one for 6 a.m. and one for 6:30 a.m. So both farmers have been scheduled in my Cloud Claude Code account. So I'm going to go to my Claude desktop, or you can do this in the web app as well, and just have a look at those scheduled tasks. So if I go to the code tab on the right, at the top right there, and then go to scheduled. So you can see I have two farmers set up, a scheduled farmer for Fireflies and a scheduled farmer for Slack. This is where you can manage and delete these farmers or go and add some more later. So I can see that my Fireflies farmer will run tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. and you can see the prompt that it's given it. And then you can also see that the Slack farmer will run tomorrow at 6 a.m. And you can see all the prompt that's given it as well. So that's the complete setup guide for the second brain with context farming. From here, you can start to use it, run the farmers manually, or go through and start to add your ideas into the second brain. And from now on, the second brain will feed itself. I started with Slack and Fireflies because that's where most of my context lives. Yours might live somewhere completely different to that, but the pattern is the same no matter what tool you're working with. You connect an MCP, you run create farmer and schedule it. Your second brain gets smarter every day without you even touching it. The link to the updated repo is in the link in the description. You can clone it and go. If you want to know exactly how you can build out these context farming operations inside your organization, customized to your stack, let's jump on a call and I'll map it out for you. You walk away knowing exactly what to build. Link is in the description. I'm also building a marketplace for verified Claude Code skills, production ready, vetted by real domain experts. If you want early access, the waitlist link is in the description below. Thanks for watching.